Postgame is presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. Joe Musso, pleased to be alongside Emory Hunt and Bryant McFadden. Fellas, I know we're going to get to the sacks and where this domination started, but I can't help but look at the poise and execution of the Los Angeles Rams on this night. Given all that they went through this week and the change in scheduling, the change in plans, so much up in the air, what did that tell you about this group in that room, Mac?
Sean McVay, you know, he's one of the best coaches in the National Football League. I've been singing his praise the entire season. I feel like he's the best coach in the NFC. And this was just a telling sign of his ability to be a leader. And so many things that were going on that were not directly a part of the game. Still trying to keep his players dialed in. When players were dealing with family issues, not knowing exactly if their homes would be intact, but yet and still coming up with a quality game plan, and most importantly, getting his guys to execute from start to finish was very, very impressive, because when you look at everything they had to go through just to get to this point, clearly they were in uncomfortable situations. But sometimes in terms of having great leadership, they can really make you feel comfortable while being uncomfortable. And that's what we saw today. And they kind of made us forget about everything they've been going through when you watch them go out and perform and do so in a high rate. Playing with a whole lot of joy in this one, and hopefully some joy brought to those affected by the fires in L.A. watching their team win in this way, Emory. Their largest win this season was by 10 points. This was not the way that Los Angeles wins football games. What got into them today?
Well, again, B-Mac touched on it. They won with execution. And a lot of times we hear coaches talk about, oh, I didn't get my guys ready to play today, it's on me. Well, Sean McVay got his guys ready to play, and they dominated the point of attack, which is where football is won or lost. And we saw 9 sacks on Sam Darnold. They got off the field on third downs. They forced turnovers, so he had his team locked in, ready to go. And what I thought was impressive the most is that they made the plays that were there to be made. If they had an opportunity to sack Sam Darnold, obviously they did that. If they had an opportunity to turn the ball over, they did that multiple times. We saw the fumble recovery for a touchdown. We saw the interception by Kobe Durant. So he had his team ready to go from start to finish. So for these 3 hours, they were locked in, mission accomplished. Ran the ball well, threw the football efficiently, and also dominated up front.
Let's not forget this is a team that also started the season 1-4. They are now playing in the divisional round. They will take a trip to Philadelphia. We will preview that matchup in just a bit. But, Mac, 9 sacks ties a playoff record. Were they running games up front? What were you seeing? Was that just man-on-man physical domination?
We saw a little bit of all of the above. Quality stunts being ran, great execution, TE stunts, and then just playing my man is better than your man football. And if you don't know anything about Jared Verse, you better get prepared to understand a bull rush will come at some point in time. And that's who he is, one of the more physical, dominant edge rushers in the game. They have so many outstanding individuals, but the thing that I love in what we've seen from the Rams, not just tonight, but the entire season, their oldest member on the defensive line is in year 2. Think about that. Think about the youth movement that we're watching. Moving on, well, Aaron Darnold moved on from them. And yes, they've missed him. You would love to have Aaron Darnold.
He was in the building.
He was in the building. But whatever he did in terms of knowledge and just showcasing his leadership to the guys like Young and Turner, and what they've been able to showcase to guys like Fisk and Jared Verse, it's been really, really impressive. And the future is bright. Because like I said, when you look at all 4 guys, it felt like every starter on the defensive lineman, and including 2 backups, touched Sam Darnold at some point in time. So if they can continue with that mindset, I mean, this team has a fighting chance, because we know one thing about the Rams, they will be well coached. It's about executing and dominating at the point of attack, and they did so in the trenches on the defensive side today.
Well, I'll say this, too, because we kind of peel back the curtain on what they look for in the draft, right? When you think about defensively, you talk about what they ran up front, the different stunts or games or whatnot, but these guys were all technically sound, winning their individual battle. We saw a great spin move by Braden Fisk on one of the offensive linemen. Nice setup, then spun back around, got pressure. We saw Jared Verse hit a guy with a 1-2, then a straight bull rush, and then on offense, Puka Nacua learning how to win one-on-one underneath. We saw Tyler Higbee do his job, get hurt, but then someone else stepped up. So you start to see the Rams show their hand in terms of why they are such a successful organization with McVay, with Les Snead, with their coaches, because they identify talent, the right type of guys. They go out and get those guys that can win those one-on-one battles, and every individual collectively played together as a team, but individually they were winning consistently 11 on 11 across the board.
I keep having the Denny Green ring in my head as it pertains to this Vikings team. They are who we thought they were. Maybe not this season because we thought very highly of them coming into this game, but the quarterback, questions lingered of what he would be in the moment. The team that so historically has had their heart broken. Minnesota doesn't get the credit they deserve for some of the heartbreak they've been through. They're the 8th 14-win team to lose a playoff opener. It's a 14-win team. They lost to 2 teams this season, the Lions and the Rams. They just happened to do it twice to both. Emory, where do you begin to dissect what went wrong on this day for the Vikings?
You say cut the head off the snake and the body dies. Well, they upset the head of this offense, which was Sam Darnold. He was antsy from start to finish. So when you got an anti-Sam Darnold, we saw what that looked like in New York, and that didn't work out for him there. And we saw it manifest itself in this ball game because he wasn't under control. He wasn't confident. He wasn't the Sam Darnold that we saw for the regular season. The ball was coming out late. Inside, that's the interception by Kobe Durant. A lot of times he was holding the football a lot, and that caused some of those sacks. A lot of it wasn't on the offensive line, and they were out of sync on offense. They couldn't really run the football. This team has to be better, and when they had a guy out there that was playing really well in terms of Sam Darnold during the regular season, once he got jittery and started to see things differently and hold the football, take those sacks, that's when bad things started to happen. It started very early in this game.
Yeah, I think offensively for Sam Darnold, some of the issues that we saw from their offense, and unfortunately for Sam, he's going to get the bulk of the blame because, you know, naysayers have been waiting for this Sam Darnold to surface. But I think a lot of their issues was the offensive line play. They did a horrible job in protecting the quarterback. Now, granted, Sam Darnold did hold the football a little too long. But when you look at the offensive line, you got to hold up a little bit just for your quarterback to get comfortable. He never got a chance to get comfortable. You talk about surrendering 9 sacks in a game. They gave up 6 at halftime. I mean, that's losing football. There's only so much your quarterback can do. That is the ultimate neutralizer for any quarterback. I don't care who you are. You can be the Pat Mahomes of the world, Josh Allen's of the world. If you don't protect them, they're not going to be successful. Not to mention a guy in Sam Darnold who is overly athletic, but for whatever reason, he does not want to run. Get out of the pocket. We've never seen that. So what we saw in tonight's matchup was a quarterback not seeing the field well, offensive lineman not protecting. And they get off to a slow start. That snowball got bigger and bigger and bigger as it came downhill, and it was too late.
I can't let Kevin O'Connell off the hook.
You took the words out of my mouth. The decision before the half.
Number one.
To go for it at midfield, put 7 more points on the board and made that hill 7 points bigger to climb. It was 21 at halftime instead of 14.
Then the unnecessary challenge on the perceived fumbles.
Desperation.
Some desperation. So those 2 plays, you lose that timeout. But you're right, that one before the half changed the entire complexion of the game.
That's why I asked the question, where does the picking apart begin? Because everybody can be pointed to in a loss of this ilk. And unfortunately, as you look to the past of the Minnesota Vikings, it's something we've seen before. The Vikings were 13-4 when they lost that game at home to Daniel Jones and the Giants just a couple years ago. Daniel Jones on the sideline for this one. Life is a flat circle. We find ourselves right here in this moment. I have to ask the question here, fellas. What have the last 8 quarters meant to Sam Darnold's future in Minnesota and in this league? Because you're talking about massive quarterback contract, like not reset the market, but they're amongst the top 15 paid players at the position. Then Detroit happens, you're talking franchise tag. Now you're talking what, Emory?
Well, he hoped he was going to parlay this into a Geno Smith situation where he got hot at the right time. Toward the back end, we always love to say people remember what they saw last. In the last 2 games, those numbers that we showed up on the screen does not look like a guy you want to give that full-fledged multi-year extension to. It looks like a franchise tag, a guy that you can still trust within this scheme, within the system. Hey, we can improve the offensive line. We'll get things healthier and better up front. But mostly, we're going to hope that you can hold the fort down until we get our first-round pick ready to go, and that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah, Emory, I'm right there with you, because leading up into the last 8 quarters of play, it felt like he was in line to get an extension. Maybe a 2 or 3 year deal, who knows, but he was clearly en route to get that extension. But you look at the bad ball, not solely on Sam Darnold, right? They didn't lose to Detroit all because of Sam Darnold. They did not lose tonight against the Rams all because of him. But in terms of his future with the organization, I see more of a franchise tag as well, because you want to keep Sam Darnold around not knowing what you have in your young quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. See, the thing about J.J. McCarthy this season, because of that injury, he hasn't really been able to get on the grass, to really get out there and throw routes to the wide receivers.
You're a rookie next year.
Yeah, he will be a true rookie next year because he hasn't played. So you can't really just give him the keys to the car, not knowing exactly how he will look in this new system and how long it would take for him to showcase that I can win ball games with you. So unfortunately, in this game, you have insurance policies or insurance plans on certain teams. And I think Sam Darnold would be that insurance plan for the Vikings. You start off as our guy, we're going to ride with you, but if something goes the wrong direction, we have J.J. McCarthy to learn, but we don't want to force him into action, not knowing exactly what he can do, especially knowing that, to your point, this will be a true rookie year for J.J. coming up.
That quarterback tag, if they do want to apply it to Darnold, north of $40 million per. We'll see if that is the future that holds. But the future for the Minnesota Vikings right now, it has come to a close for the 2024-25 season. As for Matt Stafford and the LA Rams, they play on. And what a change of scenery can do. With Detroit, those few trips he made, it was a struggle. As a Ram, a Super Bowl ring, and now another divisional task. And this one in Philadelphia. Could he possibly find himself in Detroit once again? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Time now for the Geico Get More Player of the Game. Let's hand out a game ball. Bryant McFadden, you go first. Who is the object of your affection tonight?
Defense win championships, and it's only right that I give the game ball to a defender. Kobe Turner, outstanding ball game. When you look at what he was doing, when you watched him, you felt his impact. But when you look at the box score, you see his impact. 2 sacks, 2 TFLs. Outstanding performance by Kobe Turner. Every time I looked up, he was playing on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. That's never a great thing for offensive linemen. They had no answer for the great Turner tonight.
I'm going to go with the Florida State Seminole. Went back when they were good.
I was going to say, surprised you let him take the Nolan.
Right.
That feels
I wanted him to be a part of greatness.
Jared Verse did a great job tonight. You saw him with a touchdown, the fumble recovery for a score. We saw him lined up in the slot covering Justin Jefferson, looking athletic, and we just saw him be disruptive. Like, it doesn't really manifest itself in the sacks, but his being disruptive opened things up for everybody else to have success. And this is a big reason why he's the only rookie defender to be named to the Pro Bowl team. So he did a great job tonight, got into the end zone, showcased that athleticism, showcased that raw power you talked about. Yeah. So I thought he did a great job tonight for the Rams.
And with that, wild card weekend is a wrap. And then there were 8, 2 of the best right here. Bryant McFadden, Emory Hunt. Appreciate you guys.